Welcome back, everybody. Clinton here with Oval Window Racing, and it's raining out, but got the doors open. Temperature is kind of rising, and pretty much got my plate cleared, and it's time to work on my projects, which means we're doing some upgrades to Simon. You see, we got the engine out, and one of the big things I've been wanting to do, and I'm sure quite a few of you out there are waiting for me too, but get these bad boys put on. That's the main upgrade. That's one reason why Simon's engine is out. And I got a couple other things, a few other things I want to do. And I'll take a walk back here. Show you one of the problems I've been kind of having here is, look, I got oil sitting down there in the transmission. I think the rear main seal's been leaking. I've had this problem before on a different engine case, but I quite haven't had it on this one yet until I believe one of the things I did was I kind of have been moving and playing with the breather system on here, and I kind of like the way I have it set up right now because, you know, I'm not getting any oil or mist out of the pulley side. I'm kind of fighting that problem, and I think I got that taken care of, but now I got something going on with the main seal, and I don't know if it's a main seal issue or if it's more of a boost pressure issue inside the engine case. So I got kind of an idea what I'm going to do with that, but I don't know if it's going to work or not. But I'm going to try to maybe add a drain hole to the back of the engine case. I've heard some people have done it and have had success with it, and I haven't really heard of too many people doing it, or anybody doing it and not having success at it. So I'm going to try it. You know, the engine case on this engine, it's seen some abuse. And it's probably time to replace it, but so, you know, I'm not too worried about doing this trick to it, yeah, maybe I'll show you guys what I do with that later on. And another thing I'm thinking about maybe redoing, well, I know one thing I'm going to do is I need to add a, give a close look here on the, I'm pointing at here, but you guys heard me talk about my idler control valve, and the reason it's not working is because on this particular throttle body, there's a hole on the back side here, and I never hooked it up because I didn't think I was ever going to run it. So I need to, you know, make a hole in a little tube over here. When I say me make it, I may make the the initial hardware for it, but someone else is going to have to weld it up for me, and it's probably going to be my friend Jeremy. But yeah, that's I got to get all that stuff done here because it's April, first part of April, and all the car stuff starts happening. Well, the tests and tunes are actually happening this month, but most of the cruisins are going to start happening in May. So yeah, I've got 4 weeks to at least get this back in there. So can't do that while I'm talking. It's time to get to work. Okay, I got Simon's engine partially tore down here, and I'm busy taking the header off. I kind of wanted to point something out to you guys on these CB headers. We come down here and take a look. I started using these 12-point chromoly nuts here, and I'm really liking them. For the most part, you know, they fit in nice tight spots. But the CB header on this stud, and then the one back here by number 3, it's really tight bend here. And you can probably see I kind of actually went in and kind of hammered this a little bit to get it to fit a little better, but the only way I could really get these things on here is I had to modify a couple of these 10mm wrenches, and these are just a couple of ones I picked up at Advance Auto, and I just ground, as you can see, the ends in there so they fit in there a little better. Let's see, did I get that? I got 2 of them here. This one's really ground really thin, and it's probably what I'm going to try to use in hopes that it doesn't break. That one fits in there. This should fit in there. Let's try the thicker one. I don't want it to break. I don't have to. Actually ground down, there we go. I ground down 3 of these things before I got them right, and if the engine will stay, there we go. You see, now I can't get it back off. Now that I got it broke loose, I can grab a thinner one, because this one's already starting to kind of crack there at the top. I had to kind of, you know, you always got to kind of custom make your tools. But yeah, these little chromoly nuts really do the good job. And I think I'm going to start on, maybe not on this one, but this one that with the intake manifolds, I can get a socket wrench down on there I might start running them over there too. I should probably point out that yeah, I'm using a 10mm wrench, but it's got the 12-point side here on the box end. And then if you use a socket, you know, you're gonna have to use the same, you know, the 12-point on there. But yeah, just thought I'd show you guys another little trick. Well guys, it's the next day, and as you can see, I got the engine tore down to a semi-short block. A short block would be minus in the cylinders, the jugs here. And I was hoping that I wouldn't have to pull those off, basically, because I got them all sealed up, and the silicone is a pain in the butt to clean off. And then not only is it, you know, hard to clean off, it's also hard to keep it from like falling into the engine. You really got to be careful when you do that if you're not going to be splitting the case. But I'm sitting here looking at the deck height. I got specs on the build when I built this to a 2334cc engine, and it looks like I had a deck height of relatively 165 thousandths. That's because the heads I was running were cc'd at 40 cc's. You know, basically, if you've been following along, you know the heads I've been kind of working with. I bought them a long time ago, and somebody basically kind of cut them for you know, natural aspirated, and I decided to use them as a turbo application. So I went and, you know, did a bunch of work to them to make them work. And they did work. But the new heads are 62 cc's. And in order to keep the compression, oh, did I write the compression down on this? I figured the compression out. I was basically running a 9.2 to 1 compression ratio. And then to keep that in the 9 to 1 range, I have to have somewhere between 40 to 50 thousandths deck height. So I got to lose over 100 thousandths of deck height, or fly cut the heads. I don't want to fly cut the heads. I kind of want to keep the combustion chamber as big as I can. And I probably should point out, basically, on the deck height, you know, your piston comes up. You know, most of you guys probably know this, but if not, I'm going to kind of explain a little bit. Your piston comes up, and just as it reaches, you know, the top goes back down, that uppermost point, you're measuring the distance between the piston and the top of the cylinder. That's your deck height. In the old timers, basically, from what I've learned, you know, they like to keep that as tight as possible. And, you know, you start running 40 thousandths, most people don't like to run any tighter than 40 thousandths unless you're running, you know, a really good crank and rods. Because you will get a little bit of flex at higher RPMs. And you don't want that piston coming up and actually hitting the head. But what they do like I say, running that piston all the way up, they like to have that combustion, you know, in the head for a better, I guess a better, faster, cleaner burn. Kind of what I'm going to go for here. So I got to lose, you know, about 110 thousandths deck height. And that couldn't be done. I don't remember what I ran for a shim in here. I'm going to have to do some measuring on that. I'm hoping maybe I don't have to run a shim at all. I may have to run some shims. But if I can't get that, you know, that deck height up to where I want it, I may have to either cut the cylinders or run a longer rod. I'm running a pretty short rod in this engine. I wanted to try a shorter rod just for experimental purposes. So that either means I got to find, you know, my old rods I was running, which were mismatched and all different weights, which I don't want to run again, or you know, buy a new rod, or I could cut the cylinders down. But I don't really want to cut the cylinders down if I don't have to. It'd probably be cheaper. Yeah, a good quality rod is probably in the future if I don't have a really thick shim in there. So yeah, I got some more work to do. So sitting here talking to you guys, nothing's getting done. So hold on, I'll touch base with you when I find something else out. Alright, you little bugger. See if we can get you out without dropping you in the engine. Oh yeah. Are you just staying still? Whoa. I've been fighting the other three, and this one just pops out. But I don't know if you guys ever dealt with these little pins. I'm dealing with These are JE pistons, and I don't know. They probably make some type of an aluminum bushing, like a Teflon button that you can put in the Mylons or Mylan, like you can put in the Mylan pistons. But I sure miss using those Teflon buttons. These things are a bugger. Come on, don't make me think we have another one out. You're bragging that I got that one, and you're gonna be hung up. All the other three came off just fine, and you're gonna be a bugger. See if I can get this out without dropping it down the engine. Ah! It went all the way through the engine. And oh yeah. Hopefully it didn't go down the drain pan, oil pan. And hopefully there's not a ridge line on this side. Otherwise I'm gonna have to hammer it out. Nope. This is I don't know if I consider it a slipper skirt piston, but it's by JE. And I don't know if you can read the number in there, but that's the number if you're going to need a 92 millimeter for a stroker. Again, I'm running the, I'm going to take these off. You guys are all blurry. I'm running the thick wall 92s, and they actually slide in the 94 holes, which is really nice. They're thicker than 94 millimeter cylinders. I'm hoping I don't have to take the case all the way apart. If I have to change out the rods, then the case comes apart. And actually the cylinder silicone came off the case really nice. It's stuck to all of the pistons. One benefit about doing this is I can look at the health of the lifters and cams, and I'm liking what I see. I don't see any pitting on my lifters. I'm running Scat Luba lifters, and I know everybody's like, don't run the Scat lifters, but they are reground by Steve Long racing cams. Now to move on to see what kind of shims I have. Let's take a look at one of these. See if we can get one of these off. Somebody glued them on. Come on. Yep, the silicone worked. Probably the best way is to actually go and stick it in the parts washer and soften up the silicone. Come on, just wink at me a little bit. Oh, I think I felt it move. The struggle is real. I can see it winking. In case you guys were wondering, rule number 1 is don't suck at what you do. Anybody got the theme of Jeopardy? Jiminy Crickets, just let go already. I just want to measure you. I'm ready to give up. Why won't you come out of here? All right, I win. Actually, I had to go stick it over in the parts washer and soften up the silicone some, which I'm probably going to do since I'm not going to be working out here much longer tonight. I think I'm just going to stick all the cylinders in the bottom of my parts washer and soak them. But yeah, I was right. There is like a 10,000 shim here, and then this big old monster thing here. And if we clean this up a little bit, we'll get a measurement on it. Should probably scrape this off. All right, got ourselves a clean spot here. Turn these things on and zero them out. We are in inches. And this has got to be roughly 10. Yeah, looks like about 12 and a half. And this here is, whoa, I'm going to be in trouble. That looks like it's 200 thousandths. So I'm going to have a negative deck height. I'm going to have to go through my shims. Yeah, so that gives me a ballpark figure where I got to go. Do a little bit more math here. And I got to go see Jim Green here at the end of the week. And I'm probably going to have to pick up some shims. I don't have a whole lot here. I'm going to have to go through and see if, what I do have. But I do like some of these newer machine-like shims. They're a lot more accurate, and they just look a lot nicer than these like stamped steel ones here. But yeah, we get some math done, and I'll be getting back with you guys shortly. Okay, so got the old mathematic machine out here, and I said at a deck height of 166. I kind of took an average, you know, of all the deck heights. I got the book over there, but had a couple at like 167, one at 165. So I just kind of, you know, went in the middle or the medium. So I'm going to minus the 0200 here. which is leaving me a negative deck height of 34 thousandths, which basically means the piston is actually coming out of the cylinder a little bit. Not much, 34 thousandths, but you don't want that to happen because, you got your combustion chamber sitting right there, so you're actually going to hit, you probably won't even be able to roll the engine over because it's going to hit the heads on all four corners. So I have to make up the difference, and I did a little figuring. So I figure if I add 80 thousandths, it's going to give me roughly 45 thousandths deck height, and that's right where I want to be, between that 40 to 50 thousandths of an inch. It should give me a good relatively like 9-to-1 compression. So I got to go through all my shims. I got to clean all this stuff up. But I got one more thing to show you, so hold on. All right, what I got behind the television set here is a spring valve removal tool, specifically designed for Volkswagen heads. So I'm going to grab my head here and kind of give us a short little demonstration on what's going on here. When I'm doing that, I'll kind of explain why I'm going this route. So I'm trying to do here, I don't know if you can see, trying to remove these CB lash caps off of the top of the valves, and the reason to run those is to kind of protect the top of the valve from your rocker arm, since I don't run a roller rocker. And these things are a bugger. Basically, you kind of heat them up to get them on. But in the process of doing this, I noticed I've got a bad valve guide, and I'll kind of show you that. Basically, I grab the old magnet here, the fishing pole I like to call it, and we got to take the little keepers off. This is a little keepers that hold the retainer on top of the valve spring. My magnet's seen better days. And then you have your chromoly retainer and your dual valve springs. These are, I believe, I went with the CB 650 valve springs. The 650s are supposed to be good up to about 650 thousandths lift, if I'm understanding that correctly. But if you look in here, you can watch it. Watch my valve guide. It's not supposed to do that. The valve guide is supposed to stay stationary. I'm not really sure what's going on here, but last time I had a problem with these heads is when I bent the valve. Basically, the end of the valve broke off of here and buggered up the valve guide, and I basically had it replaced, just that one valve guide, and he supposedly put an oversized valve guide in it. I don't know why the valve is actually stuck in there. I'm gonna have to ask my head guy about that. I don't know what's going on. All the other valves are fine. The idea when I had this replaced was it was only supposed to get me through the end of the season, which was like a season and a half ago. Drove it all last summer, and I don't know when this started doing that. Could have started at the end of the year, could have started all last summer. I did kind of notice, the end of last year, and of course starting it up this year, that it sounded like I did have a little chirping at the beginning, like I had an intake leak someplace, but I could not find it. I looked and could not find it. And after the car warmed up, it ran great. Like I said, I drove it all last summer and drove it up and down the road a few times this year. Not very much, but because I wanted to get the new CB heads on there. But like I said, the goal was basically just to get me through the season, not last year, but the year before, because this happened, I think, in like September, and I was kind of hoping to get a couple more test passes in before the winter, which never happened. And then I didn't get any test passes in, at the drag strip at all last year. I think I'm going to leave off here. I've got a lot of cleaning to do, and I'll get back with you guys when I, start setting some deck height. I got a bunch of shims to go through and see if I need to pick some more up. Yeah, until then, keep cruising, keep shifting those gears, and always enjoy the ride. I'm out of here. See ya. Before I was just another guy, look at me